So today is about feminine genesis and the art of receiving and why receiving his leadership. And when I say his leadership, right now I'm going to put it with like a capital H, his, not just like earthly man, but the masculine principle without internal, external, within and without. um, and why it is the true nature of the feminine to receive, and just kind of like how it works. In my mind, it's like a law, it's like a universal law, it's a universal truth. It's my experience that, when women embody this, their life is better and it works better. And sometimes I get questions of the why, or like wanting a deeper, I'm going to give you some deep explanation, but then there's this like, well, why is it this way? And ultimately I don't know. The only thing I can say is like everything, if you look at everything that has a function, it has a positive and negative pole, a masculine feminine pole. Like the like so if we just take like the just the mechanics of sex, and which is the basis of creation itself, you need emptiness and something to fill the emptiness. So we can take it down to these like micro levels, but this energy, this, I don't like the word mechanic, but like it kind of works, like it, or it really works. But it works on many different levels. Works on very primordial levels. And it's no different just in like your own energy that you're embodying and bringing out into your life and into the world and into your relationship and into all your relationships and into your work or business or career, if you do that. So that energy, that feminine frequency, that I deeply believe in and trust, is what I'm going to be kind of like talking about and breaking down today, and how it relates and plays with and yields to masculine leadership. So again, if you see me looking over, it's because I have my notes. So the other day I was on one of my a Facebook group, and someone asked like how she can expand her capacity to receive. Like, how do you begin doing that as a woman? Because we hear that it's so important and we should, right? And like, why? And how can she expand that capacity? Or like, what helped women? That's what she was doing, sort of like crowdsourcing, like what helped you all expand your capacity to receive. And I had to think about it. But I didn't have to think about it too long, because I did come up with an answer, and I wanted to share it with you all, and I wanted to use that answer as the kind of like the basis of today's call, and something that I always want you to carry with you and remember when it comes to receiving. And I'm not going to like read my whole response. I'm just going to give you the Cliff Notes version of it. But basically I told her that what helped me expand my capacity to receive is realizing and understanding that my receiving is not only about me. And this is a good way to frame it for women, because like we're so typically externally focused, right? Like we want to help other people and want to nurture other people, and women have a tendency to not give to themselves so much, and to kind of neglect themselves for the sake of others. And so maybe it's a good thing or maybe it's a bad thing that this is how that this framing of it is what helped me. But to realize that receiving is not only about me is like, it helped me tremendously. And to go deeper into that, like receiving is very generous. to others and myself, like, absolutely. But we're gonna talk about this point right now. And then to not receive is very selfish to others. So whenever I sort of looked at it that way, that my not receiving was causing harm to people around me, that made me think of it very differently. And it made me see how crucial it was that I had an ability to receive, that I had the capacity to receive, because it wasn't only harming myself by not receiving. I wasn't only limiting myself. I wasn't only blocking abundance to myself. I was blocking abundance and everything good from everyone around me, not just me. So the first thing I want you to remember is how incredibly selfish it is to not receive, and how incredibly generous it is to open yourself to receiving. And by receiving, like, this could be anything, right? A compliment, a gift, more money, more love, whatever it is, like, anything that, like, energetically is coming towards you that feels positive. I mean, but we could even look at how everything can be seen as like a provision in some way, which I do choose to do. So how so receiving is generous and not receiving is very selfish. So, like, what do I mean by that? If you think about, like, let's just like paint a picture of what I'm trying to I want to paint a picture of what I'm trying to say. So let's think about a woman who like is very dry, meaning like tight, doesn't have like a suppleness and an openness and a radiance to her, but like she's more like dry, she's more stiff, she's more does not have that playful energy. She's not receiving life, she's not receiving the fullness of life, she's not receiving or cannot hold like the sweetness of life, the goodness of life. Maybe if someone like gives her a compliment, she's like, oh, she brushes it off, or she's always struggled financially. Like, there's all these like markers of very low receptivity. Well, what kind of partner do you think she is to her husband? Or if she even has one, if she even has a partner, what kind of mother do you think she is to her children? Right? So a woman who can't receive is a woman whose cup is probably very, very, very low. And if your cup is low, then you don't have anything to give. And if you don't have anything to give, then the people around you are suffering, right? So there's this, when a woman receives, when she allows herself to be seated, and we'll talk about that a little towards the end of the call, but when she allows herself to be seated, she becomes the fertile soil of the fruit of that seed, right? Of that seed that will eventually fruit into something better and more nutritious and more life-giving than just the seed itself. So yeah, I don't need to say anything else. That's my main point, which is that, like, start thinking of receiving as being the most generous thing you can do, not for yourself, but to the person who's giving to you and to everyone around you and to life, right? So, it's not always like a physical person who's giving to you. Sometimes it's just life giving you more of something, life giving you opportunities, life giving you a new relationship. And if you think about it as like, if you feel that contraction around receiving, or if you feel that fear around conceiving, sometimes if you remember, like, okay, this isn't just for me, this is for life. Like, this is life giving, like life wanting to live, life wanting to express itself through me. If you can see it as like, this isn't just going to benefit me, my fullness, my happiness, my abundance is going to benefit those like in closest proximity to me, my family, my friends, my partner, my husband, my children, like whoever it is that's in your life. This is like your fullness and ability to receive abundance benefits everyone. And then when you don't, when you're blocking receiving, it's selfish. It's a selfish thing. Not only, well, selfishly to everyone around you. Okay. So that's the first thing that that's the first reframe that I want you to start taking on, is that when I, like, when I not just fear, like, not just like block receiving overtly, like, you know, brush off a compliment, or, you know, if someone tries to give you something, like, that's not it. Like, yeah, it can look like that. But even whenever, like if you're just not holding the space of receptivity and you're always the one trying to fill the space, like the more masculine energy, like if you just think of like the example I gave in the beginning, the womb receives, right? And it's an open, empty, dark space. And it receives the thrust of the cock, which is a more erect, solid thing. So if you're always the one like, if you're always the one filling the space with your talking, with your gifts, with your thoughts, with your invitations, with your will, everything, if you're just always the one filling the space, controlling the space and putting your energy in the space and putting, yeah, your thoughts and opinions and how it should be, and your gifts and like you're over giving, like, here, have this, you take this, let me do this for you, at the expense of yourself, you're always the one filling the space, that's also blocking receptivity, because you are not creating the emptiness, the openness, like the womb, for your space to be filled. Okay.